Welcome back to the Sibling Trap podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Katrina, and over there, 1,100 miles away, is Barry. Um, so there's something that we haven't really talked about much on this podcast. We've touched on it like when we've shared our stories, well, mainly yours, but I think that you've got some things you need to work through, and other people can learn from it too. So, what's on your heart?
Right. So today, I thought we could touch on the subject of cheating. And we're not, I mean, this is a very touchy subject. I know a lot of our listeners can relate to it. I'm sure a lot of people out there are making that terrible mistake of cheating on their partners and not really understanding what that does to somebody and the effects. And I think that's where we can really like dive deep into is the after effects of somebody who's been cheated on. And I mean, it's going to be really tough, guys. We have to talk about this without being direct and just kind of talk
Accusatory.
about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because I
Like,
mean, as much as I mean, it's happened to me a few times in my life, and it was really the depth of the relationship is how it affected me,
well, how would
right?
you
Because if you're,
like how would you describe like how would you define cheating? Like first of all, like what would you consider cheating?
I mean, this is a very controversial subject because I know a lot of people will say if you flirt with other people and you're in a relationship, that's cheating. Now, flirting in my book is like you get
Gray.
you giving yeah it's a very very deep gray area
Yeah.
if you're giving compliments to other people like and I mean it's all about delivery and it's all about the context,
Intention.
right? Intentions, exactly.
Hmm.
Intentions are everything. So if I say to a woman, hey, I think you're beautiful, or hey, I think you look nice today, I those is that flirting or is that like just giving somebody a compliment? Like maybe we're friends, like maybe we've been friends for several years, maybe we've never had sex, like, and that's another thing too. You got to look at like the history with this person and your history with them. But that's the thing is like if your intentions are to just be nice to somebody, you see like maybe they're having a bad day and you give them a little compliment so that way it kind of cheers them up. Those things can go a long way with people that you care about. And the thing is like yes, it can be seen as like a flirtatious nature, like you're looking for more than what you're actually trying to provide, and that can be seen as cheating. Now, in
But
my
here's
book, I don't. Go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say like if you're complimenting someone like their characteristics, their personality, who they are as a person, that's completely different than complimenting their looks. So like to me, like if you're complimenting
Right.
someone's looks like that, I feel is inappropriate.
Okay. Yeah. See, I man, that's it's tough because like saying, "Hey, you look nice today." I mean, that's innocent to me. It's innocent to me. Like maybe they are wearing a nice shirt or they did extra on their makeup, whatever the case is. Like, but yeah, if you're saying like, "Hey, I think you're a great person," or "Hey, I think you're you're working hard at work," or like if it's a coworker, obviously it's I don't know. There's so much controversy in that subject right there alone.
50 Shades of Grey.
And yeah, and like you said, it really just boils down to intentions. Now, there's something that people I know that a lot of people and women especially are going to agree with me. Like if you're out there liking girls' pictures on Facebook, if especially if you've had things or like Instagram. I mean, Instagram is tough because like everything's a picture, you know. So if you're liking pictures on Instagram like of girls and you're in a relationship, that can be seen as cheating for sure. Like that
Hmm.
I mean, it just if you look at it from the woman's point of view or the man's point of view, like it can go both ways. if it makes me feel stupid if my person is liking this dude's picture of him, like, without a shirt on at the beach. That kind of tells me, hey, like, she's complimenting him on his looks publicly. Other
Yeah.
people have to see that. And I'll be honest with you, Katie, I've been guilty of it, and it's honestly something that I had to get away from because I didn't realize I was doing it because I'm a dumb guy, and I know that that's a dumb excuse and it's not really excusable.
It's just
And
a
I think a
pattern
part
that
of,
you, yeah.
yeah, and it's, man, I never meant anything nefarious about it. I was never like, oh, I'm gonna like this girl's picture and hopefully that causes her to talk to me, and then it's like,
Yeah.
we hit it off from there. Like, that's not something I've ever been interested in, and that's not something I've ever, like, oh, I was hoping for that to happen. It was more along the lines of, like, I was just being dumb and I was just scrolling and I was like, oh, like
You weren't thinking. Yeah.
yeah. and and I honestly, like, I didn't do it a lot. I like people's statuses when they make me laugh. And that's like the biggest thing is like when somebody posts something funny, or if they post something or share something that, like, and it's like, I don't know, truthful, or if it's something that has to do with something that I like or I enjoy, then I'm gonna like it. So I got away from liking pictures specifically because my partner at the time confronted me about it and said that it didn't make her comfortable. And I said, "Oh shit, you're right. I shouldn't be doing that. I'm sorry." And I fixed it. Like, I stopped liking girls' pictures because I was like, "Holy shit. Like, this is going to cause my partner to have issues. I'm not going to do it."
Hmm.
And then it was, "Oh, well, I don't want you to like anybody's stuff." And I was confused because I'm like, well, I mean, this is a joke this girl posted. Like, or it was a meme or something. Like, that's innocent in my book. If it's a meme and it made me laugh, I'm going to like it. Sorry. It's just or I'm going to
Yeah.
haha that shit. Like, it's part of social media, I think.
Right. Well,
And
that's
that's an
complimenting like
issue.
their personality because it's a
Right.
meme and it's funny. It's not like you're
Funny.
complimenting
Right.
their body. Yeah.
Exactly. And I understand the difference. I definitely understand the difference. And I think that, I mean, there were times, Katie, I'm not perfect. I liked things on purpose, and this is the toxicity of the relationship. I
Hmm.
like things on purpose because I knew it was going to upset her.
Yeah.
And I'm having to deal with that on my own, and having to learn from that. I would never do that again because it just created more toxicity. It created more fights. It created more trauma, essentially, for both of
Yeah.
us in the long run. And it was stupid, very stupid of me to do that. And I did that on purpose because it felt like we were there was just so much distance created between us that that was the only way I could get through to her, was by doing something that I knew she would see, I knew she would get mad about, and I knew it would get her attention. At that point, we should have already broke up. I
Done.
should have moved
Yeah.
out. It should have been done. So there's that. But let's get back to the cheating aspect.
Hmm.
I didn't like those pictures to piss her off, to cheat on her. I like them to get the
True to
connection
her.
back, like
Yeah.
to get through to her, exactly. So, um, so back to cheating. I think that, so, like, defining cheating, obviously, if you're interested or if you're talking to somebody else in a way that if your partner were to read it, it would cause them discomfort or pain or anything, obviously that's cheating. So, and has, I mean, this is the digital age, Katie. Like, we live in a world where pictures are sent every day between people. It is so easy to do. I mean, we all walk around with a pretty decent camera on our phone. I mean, depending on what phone you have.
Hmm.
And it's like things like that. Like if you're sending selfies of yourself to another person and you're in a relationship, I think you're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's cheating because it's like, hey, look at me, look at how pretty I am today. Like, but if you are posting selfies on social media, obviously that's not cheating because I mean it's for the public to see, it's for
It's
everyone
not
to see.
shady. Yeah.
It's not shady, no. So there's a line that you have to kind of draw there, and I think that a lot of people don't understand the difference between a direct conversation or direct interactions and social interactions, right?
Hmm.
And that's another thing is it let's say at work, right? You this is hard to this is really hard to navigate. Let's say you spend 3 hours getting ready to go to work, right?
Long time.
It's a long time, right? Let's say you get
You
all
work out,
pretty
like
and
what?
get all
Yeah.
dolled up, like I'm doing my makeup and I
Oh
make
God.
sure my beard is cut perfectly. you know,
Every
I,
single.
I'm
Okay, go
trying
on.
to impress the people that I'm going out or that I'm going to work to see,
Yeah.
right? And let's say your boyfriend girlfriend wants to go out, that weekend or whatever, or go to dinner, and you spend 10 minutes getting ready.
Mm, I don't know.
I mean, in my book, does that mean? And it's hard to think about because I mean, it's overthinking and it's assuming, but let's
Yeah.
say that person has somebody that they're going to work to impress, right? And they're hoping that they see that person or that person comes to their job or whatever. Or, you have somebody that you have a crush on at work and you're hoping things work out with them. So you're spending more effort to look better for that person than you are for your partner.
I think that that might be, yeah, it's definitely an overthinking situation
Right.
because,
Well,
like, my boyfriend is like, well, you don't have to wear any makeup around me. So, like, in that way, I'm like, 10 minutes, I'm fine. But, a lot of times, at least for me, like when I'm feeling really down, like I will spend extra time on how I look for the day, but it's not like an everyday type of thing. So, yeah, I think it would
right.
come
Okay.
down to like how often is this happening, right? Like if it's every single time she goes to work, like that's a little bit weird, but at the same time, like she feels more comfortable with you and she doesn't feel like she needs to put on a face. So, I could see it both ways.
True. And yeah, that is I kind of thought about that before coming up with that idea, but the thing is it's all about effort, and you're right. Like, how
Yeah,
often
I
is
can
it
see it.
happening? And I'm the type of guy, Katie, that I want you to be in your natural look. Like I understand that makeup's a thing. As a guy, I don't really understand why, but I get it. Girls want to feel pretty, and doing the makeup thing is a hobby for most girls, or it's just that's how they feel they're most pretty,
Self-esteem.
and they're trying
Yeah.
to they're trying to impress other women by like their technique and their style. I get it. Like guys, we
Hmm.
have our own style too, and the thing, so like maybe change the dynamic. Like let's say it's a guy and I'm wearing my nicest clothes to go to work every day, but then I'm wearing like some jeans and a t-shirt, if you look at it like that, it doesn't seem as bad because, I mean, there's really no effort behind putting clothes on. I mean, it takes 10,
Yeah.
15 minutes for a guy to get ready. Or maybe it's a cologne thing. Oh, I'm only wearing cologne. I only want to smell good when I'm going to work. I mean, there are different, I would say, I don't know, different reasons why anybody does anything. I'm opening up that avenue as like, hey, like
Hmm.
this was happening at some point in my life, and I thought that person was cheating because they were constantly spending more time making
Yeah.
themselves look better like when they were going out or going to work versus when they were with me, and it made me feel like I wasn't worth the effort anymore. You know what I
Mm.
mean? So
I think
so it's
there's also some
tough to think.
reassurance of like if that's the only thing, but like if it's that and then also like they're hiding their phone and like not really, if there's like other layers to it, then definitely like red flags going off.
Right. Exactly.
Mm.
And that's something too. Like if there are other things going on, then obviously that might make more sense. If it was just
Yeah.
that, then yeah. Like hiding the phone thing, Katie,
Mm-mm.
I don't think. Let's dive into that, seeing that you mentioned
Yeah.
it.
Why not?
Look,
Let's go.
every, I mean, it's part of cheating.
Yeah.
Everybody has, I think everybody has a right to their privacy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that people are going to do whatever they want to do. They're going to find a way to hide whatever it is that they're doing if it's, if it's not right. The thing with me is, I mean, if you're constantly going through my phone, we're going to have issues because I'm the type of person that I never have anything to hide. If you want to go through my phone, you want to go through my laptop, my PC, my Xbox, do it. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I if it's something that I don't feel comfortable with and I know it's going to make my partner upset, I'm just going to be honest about it. I'm just going to tell
Mm-hmm.
them because I'm going to say, "Hey, I want you to know that this is happening, but it's not what you think, or
Yeah.
it's not, I don't want you to see it and then get mad. I would much rather us talk about it up front so I can tell you how I feel or whatever the
Yeah.
case, right?" Now, having said that, I have been the guy going through my partner's phone at the time, but but like you said, there were a lot of other red flags and a lot of other signs telling me, "Hey,
Something's up.
and like let's just call it what it is. It was intuition. I felt like I was being cheated on, so I did that. And I went through their phone and I found things, and I was not in a good place. And looking back at my like that point in my life, I had wished that I just did it. I wish that I had just
Broken up with her.
not known. Yeah, I wish that it had just ended. And that's the thing. Like I wanted to talk about specifically. Like, why are you with somebody? And I understand that, and this is super controversial, but I understand that circumstances a lot of times dictate your decisions. But
Mm-hmm.
why are you with somebody and you're doing shady shit? That never
You're not ready
I
for a
still
relationship.
can't. Right. Or maybe it's like, well, I have this already, but there's this other option out there and I'm not really sure if I should take it or not. And I hate that.
Mm-mm.
That despise that because it's like just you're either with that person or you're single and then you can explore other options. Why keep somebody around and why drag things out if you know for a fact that you're interested in with somebody else? Like that should already mean that you're over. It's done. It's done. It's over.
Yep.
And I guess,
I
that just ties into like narcissistic tendencies. Like
mm-hmm.
somebody that does something like that is clearly a narcissist and clearly has some issues that needs to get worked out, but I just don't understand why not just end it? Why not just move out, like move on, just call it quits, say, "Hey, I'm sorry, but I like this other person and I want to be with them." Be
Yeah.
honest, you
I
know?
heard this quote the other day, and I'm not gonna say it exactly, but it was essentially saying like the second you see me as a choice, I'm gone. Because I'm not a choice. Like I am the number one. There is no other
Right.
option. The second I become an option, like this is no longer for me.
Right.
Because then it's like they're not all in for you. And if someone's not all in for you, then bye. Like call it.
Exactly. And that's the craziest thing to me because honestly, I've been in those situations where I knew that things were toxic. I knew that things were over and I just quit. I just said, "Hey, I can't do this anymore." Like I made that decision personally. The other person at the time didn't really want to do that, and I had to essentially like break her heart, and I hate that. But it still had to happen. Like, and I'm not a fan of controversy. Believe me, I run from that shit most of the time. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to be that guy. I don't want to be that person that is like, hey, I know this hurts. I know this is going to upset you, but we still have to do it. I don't want to do that, but I have to. It's
Yeah.
the only right way to do that. And it's fair. It's fair to me. It's fair to that person. Because the longer you drag it out with somebody like that, the longer you prolong the inevitable,
It's more
the
painful.
more it's going to hurt. Yeah, the more it's going to
And the
hurt in the long
longer
run.
it'll, yeah,
Exactly.
sticks with
And I
you.
think that it's insane to me that there are people in this world that enjoy that kind of shit, Katie. There are people in this world that do that on purpose because they know that it's going to hurt that person longer. And they do it because, like, they obviously want their cake and want to eat it too, or whatever that stupid saying is.
Yeah.
But I don't understand how you can look yourself in the mirror, how you sleep at night, knowing that like you're out here just doing the illest, just being the worst person possible for people. Because the truth is when you get cheated on, and from my experience, I mean, I've only been cheated on a handful of times, a couple of times, honestly. And like I said, the depths of the relationship varied. So the first time I got cheated on, I kind of got over it quick because we were only in a relationship for a few months, and
Mm-hmm.
when I found out about like them cheating, I was just like, oh, okay, well, another one bites the dust, and I moved on. And I mean, I was like, okay, well, I get my life back. I'm single again. It's just
Mm-hmm.
it is what it is kind of
Redirect.
mentality. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it was a lot easier. And then when you're in a relationship for a longer period of time and you get cheated on
It's messy.
because of the
Sticky.
because of the investment, like you were invested in that person, you're invested in their life, you built a life together, you're invested in their kids or whatever the case. It got to a point where I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to believe that that person was cheating.
There's a
I
long
and I
kind of
had
denial.
Yeah, I had the raw evidence. I saw it
Mm-hmm.
with my own eyes. I had heard it from other people, and I didn't want to believe it because I was like, well, no, like I was still holding out that doubt. I was like, well, what if she didn't mean it like that, or what if they're just friends, or like believing the lies that that person was telling me, and
Yeah.
it was disgusting, honestly. Like, it gives me the ick, and I look back at it and I'm mad at myself because I should have known my own worth a little bit more. Like, I'm worthy of real love, I'm worthy of loyalty and dedication. I'm worthy of all that because I'm a good person. I have a great heart, and I know that. And having to, getting a little emotional thinking about it, but having to rebuild myself after the fact has been
Mm-hmm.
one of the toughest things in my life. Just
The
because
daily.
I spend a lot of time during the day and at night, especially when I'm alone, thinking about why or what I did to cause that person to want to go somewhere else, and to find something else. And the insanity behind that is it wasn't me,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I've been through hours and session after session of therapy talking about that. And my therapist always said, you can't look in the mirror when somebody else cheats on you.
Yeah.
It's not you. It's usually them. It's their mentality, their shitty, character, their lack of loyalty, their lack of commitment. and you have to look at you have to look at it like that. You have to look at it like it's like getting robbed, right? You're out on the street, you're walking down the street, person comes up, they point a gun at you and say, "Give me all your shit." You get robbed, and then you're like, "What did I do to
Mhm.
cause that person to want to rob me?"
Yeah.
I mean, as a protector and as a former Marine, like I think of it like, well, okay, was I not, was I not creating like a hard target scenario? Did I look like a bitch? Like, did I look
Right.
like it would be easy to rob me? Exactly.
Mhm.
So that's kind of a good analogy in my head because I mean, yeah, if I had a gun on my hip, would that person have still robbed me? Probably not. They probably would have been like, "Oh
Right.
shit, that guy got a gun," or they would have been like, "Oh, just now I get a free gun, whatever." But that's kind of the analogy. You got to look at it like, no, it's not really you. It's not. There's nothing you could have done to prevent that from
Mhm.
happening. It's the other person. It's the other person's problems. It's the other person's morals. And thinking about that really does help me kind of put that into a better light. The issue is I still fumble every once in a while, and I'm still like, well, maybe if I had done this better, if I'd done that better, that person might have been less tempted to cheat, but it still probably would have happened. I mean,
I think it's
honestly.
inevitable.
And it's crazy because I that person cheated on their person, their relationship prior. So it's like, what did you
History.
fucking expect? What?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just gonna repeat itself because that person is just a raging piece of shit. But
Right.
and that should have been a huge red flag for me. But at the time I was, alcoholism was a thing, and I wasn't really thinking clearly, and I kind of let that person into my life. Still, knowing that they did that, and knowing that's an issue for me because I believe in karma. I really do.
Yeah.
And I think if you're gonna do ill and do wrong things and treat people wrongly, like eventually that shit's gonna come around. And knowing that, I still let that person into my life. And looking back, I'm like, man, you should have just never taken that chance, never ever. So it was a learning experience, definitely, for me. But and that's another thing too. Like once a cheater, always a cheater is kind of a big deal to me because
Mhm.
it's true. It really is. Like those types of people, they don't understand the pain that they're causing other people because they just don't care. I feel like. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I don't know. I mean, like they either don't care or they don't have the strong enough spine to do the hard thing and say that they're not happy anymore with the situation. Um, and then,
Right.
and initiate the breakup.
Yeah, making the tough call and actually moving that forward is. I mean, it's hard. It is hard, and I'm
It
not
comes
trying to
with
take away
maturity.
from it, but it does. Yeah, exactly. You have to be able to look somebody in the face and tell them how you feel, and I think a lot of
Mhm.
people struggle with that, especially cheaters. They don't want to be the bad guy, but I mean, essentially, that's what they're doing. They're going to end up that way anyway.
Yep.
And from my point of view, I think if I'm willing to cheat on somebody, it's over, right? There's
Mhm.
no I don't I despise cheating so bad. Like it's happened to me enough in my life that I would never be that person. And it's
Mhm.
because I don't know, maybe I just have enough human decency, or if I'm just like I know what that feels like to get
Yeah.
cheated on and how much pain comes with that and how much self-doubt comes with that. I just don't think I could ever make another person feel that. That's the biggest thing for me is no matter how much I don't care about a person and no matter how much like how toxic or how bad the relationship is or whatever the case, like I would never be like, "Hey, I'm just going to go be with this person but at the same time try to be with, the previous." it doesn't make sense to me. Maybe that's just because logically that's just stupid, but and there's like the whole like being single and playing the field and keeping your options open and dating multiple people, like that's just something that gives me the ick too. Like I've never really wanted to do that either. I've been focused on one person at a time because
Yeah.
honestly that's all I can maintain. I
Yeah.
cannot talk to multiple women at once. It blows my mind knowing that there are women and men out there that can have multiple partners at once. I Is it because I don't have enough time, or I just don't have the energy, like the social energy to put up
Well,
with multiple conversations with multiple women? Like it just drives me insane. I
I
don't
mean,
understand how people could do it.
like, well, it's okay. So you
Not calling
like
anybody
to,
out, but
no, like you like to, talk on the phone with people a long time too. So like
right.
in that aspect, like I don't think you could do more than one at a time. Um, but I mean, I think
Yeah,
the
I
most I've talked to is like three at a time, and that was it. Because that was just that was a lot.
ooh,
Um,
three is a big number. No, I'm kidding.
but I mean, like, so I had a moment of I guess vulnerability this week that I was like, ah, I need to be honest about this. So, there, I had sent my boyfriend one picture. It was totally PG-13, like it wasn't, anything inappropriate when we started dating. And then, um, last week he had asked me, well, did you send those pictures to anyone else? And I was like, well, yeah, I did before we were dating. That was such a like a moment of like, oh fuck, like you really put me on the spot with that one. But it's true. Like I was a good picture. Um, and then I was like, but I had once we started dating, I had reached out to the other people and was like, listen, like I started seeing someone and, although I've had fun getting to know you, it's no longer appropriate. Like I wish you all of the best and I hope that you find love one day. So, and I deleted all the conversation. So I think that there's this like
well,
rawness
you're creating
and
boundary. Yeah,
yeah, it, but like being honest with yourself and your partner, like when that stuff comes up, like it's just natural to be like, oh no, like you're the only one. I'm like, nah, fuck it, like this is the reality. But it builds that strong connection of communication, right? It's like you have to build that strong foundation, and like, yeah, that's gonna come with uncomfortable moments, but like, how are you going to build an honest relationship if you're not being truthful
actually
about
honest.
everything?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
not like
And
portraying who
that's
you want to be or who you think they want you to be.
right. And that's the truth is you have to be honest with your partner
Hmm.
regardless of how it's going to make them feel, because from my point of view, if you're honest with me and even if it is a tough conversation to have, I'm going to respect you more
Yeah.
because you're being honest versus you telling a little white lie. Because like you said, even if you had just been like, oh well, no, I didn't send that
Right.
picture to anybody else, like
Doesn't feel good.
it it doesn't feel good, right? I
I
would
can't lie.
probably, because yeah, I can't either. So you and I are very similar in that regard, because
Hmm.
when I tell like little lies, I think about it
Haunts
for
you.
days. Yeah, it
Yeah.
haunts me. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
I lie to work and I'm like, oh, I'm sick, but really honestly, I just wanted to stay home and play video games. Like, this is a
Yeah.
hypothetical thing. People at work actually listen to this.
And you have to keep
I mean,
track of it. Like, oh, what did I tell this
yeah,
person? What did I tell that person?
well,
Yeah.
not just that, but like, I think about the consequences of if they find out, right? Like, what if I tell them that and then I'm at home and I'm on the PC? Obviously, I could be like, oh, well, I'm sick, so like I'm just playing video games because I'm home.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is like I think about the scenario and I think like, what if they find out? What if they find out
Hmm.
I'm lying?
What will
Like,
they think of me?
and then it's like playing out the consequences. Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah. The
being
lies
honest is
bleed into everything.
so freeing. Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. And then it's snowball effect, like you have to
Yeah.
lie once, you have to lie again and again and again, and it just such a bad look. And I think that a lot of people these days are comfortable with lying so much that it becomes part of who they are. Like a specific person in my life used to lie all the time, and I was like, dude, how can you lie like that? How can you seriously, like, how can you sleep at night? It just drives me
Right.
nuts because I can't. I lay awake and I'm like, man, I told this
No.
lie back in like 2007, and
Yes. I told a lie
no,
in
I
middle
just,
and in grade school, and it still haunts me.
yeah, and that's the weird thing. Like, it ties right in with cheating, lying and cheating. I mean, it's the same thing. It's just on a
The intention
different
of
level and
deception
depth.
or manipulation. Yeah.
Exactly. And my problem specifically with it is, why not just be honest? Yes, you did a bad thing. Yeah, you cheated on that person. It's going to hurt them, but you might as well just be honest about the relationship. Like, say, I don't want this anymore, instead of constantly coming home and hugging that person and looking them in the face. I just don't understand how they do that.
Yeah.
How can you look somebody in the face? How can you hug them? How can you kiss them? How can you touch them without feeling like a raging piece of shit? And that's just,
Yeah.
it's tough for me. It's tough for me to understand because I would feel terrible all the time. I would be upset with myself. I I would just want that, I would have that urge to just want to tell them the truth.
Right.
Like, hey, I fucked up. I don't want to be in this anymore. This other person, or even if it was like a one time thing, right? And it would just eat me up inside knowing that that disloyalty had happened, and I would want to tell them. I would tell them exactly what happened. Maybe even spare the details a little bit because, like, obviously it's
Respect.
painful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredibly painful to do to somebody, and having that happen to me, I just, I look back at it and I'm like, wow, like, you should have kind of known. You should have known it was happening. Like, and maybe that was another thing. Like I said, my intuition told me that this was happening because there were signs, and you got to look at the signs a lot of times. And when I found out like the honest truth, it crushed me, Katie. It really hurt. It really hurt because I knew it was happening and I just ignored it because
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping I was wrong. I was
Yeah.
hoping that I was overthinking. I was hoping that the things that other
They'd
people
choose
were
you.
telling me were, yeah, and then also that I was hoping that I was worth more than that other person. I was
Mm-hmm.
hoping that I was better in every way. I was hoping that they would see that value in me.
Which
And
makes you try harder to hold on to that person, which also in turn
exactly,
pushes them away faster.
pushes them away, yeah. And it was so depressing thinking about, like, even now, like, I'm choking up a little bit just thinking about where I was mentally, like the mental space I was in, knowing that this person was cheating on me, knowing that she was enjoying the company of this other person more than being with me, and feeling lost, feeling trapped at the same time. That
Mm-hmm.
was insane because I didn't know what to do, Katie. I honestly didn't know what to do. And like, I knew that I had to, like, we obviously had to break up. That was like forefront in my mind.
Yeah.
And once I knew that we needed to break up because, like, this person wasn't coming home, like, they were obviously spending whatever time that they had free with this other person, and obviously, like, not coming home is a big deal.
Yep.
Like, and at that point, that's when I was like, you need to get the fuck out. Like, I can't be here.
It's messy when you
One
live
and
together.
Yeah, and I don't think I'll ever. Honestly, I don't think I'm ever going to be in another relationship.
I
I
think
don't think I'm cut out for it anymore.
it's
I
interesting. I
don't.
heard about this this theory, right? So it's like living apart together, where like you're together, but you still have separate homes. And
Yeah, I mean that's how you're
then you
supposed to
just,
do it till you get married and all that shit, right?
I mean, even though you're married, though, like that doesn't necessarily mean that they're, being loyal to you, right?
Loyal, yeah. Well, obviously
Yeah,
not, but
yeah. So I
but
think
yeah,
that if
living
you weren't
separate
living
homes, but
together, it would be easier, a cleaner break. Hmm.
definitely, definitely the issue.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I'm still in it.
But yeah, yeah, I
Um,
know you're getting through it though. But
almost there, almost there. There's a really nice place I could camp over there in the public. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I'm kidding. I know it irks you when I do
but
that. Sorry, I was
bust out the
joking.
tent and the sleeping bag. You forget I was in the infantry,
Yeah,
so
right.
I
A
can sleep
lean-to over there.
outside really easy. Yeah.
Um, so question
But
though,
yeah,
like,
it's just
do you feel like moving forward, you're automatically assuming the worst in potential partners?
yeah, absolutely.
Mm,
I'm working through it. It's an issue that I'm aware of, and I've spent time talking to my therapist about that, about not judging new potential partners based on my
what other people
experiences
do?
with previous partners. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do. It really is because you want the best for yourself, but at the same time, like, you have to create boundaries. And that's something that I've learned. I mean, obviously, in the last 6 months or last year, is creating boundaries. But I mean, how do you create a boundary for cheating? Like, you just tell them, hey, please don't cheat on me, like,
Right.
but if they're going to do it, they're going to do it, and there's nothing you can say or do that's going to stop them from doing that. But I think that inherently we have to see our own value.
Hmm.
And if that other person doesn't see your value, I mean, it's easy to recognize when somebody doesn't see your value. It's,
Yeah.
the red flags are there, how they treat you, how they talk to you, things like that. Like, Katie, I've been guilty of raising my voice in arguments. I've been guilty of shutting down emotionally. I've been guilty of ignoring people. I mean, I've done it all under the sun. Like, I'm not perfect, people. Like, I'm willing and mature enough to admit my faults. But something I've never done is cheated on somebody. I've never, ever gone out looking for intimacy or sexual things with another person while I was in a relationship, because I have that much respect for myself. Because, like, I wonder, I I wish we knew somebody that cheated all the time and was willing to come on the podcast, because I have a lot of questions for a person like that.
Anybody
I
out there?
wonder. Well, no, I mean, I saw this TikTok last night, and this is kind of what drove me to want to have this conversation on the pod. Is like, this girl was bragging about being a cheater. Like, she was like, "Yeah, I cheat all the time. I love that shit." Like,
Hmm.
whoa.
Oh yeah, you said
Like,
that one time.
whoa. Yeah, like, whoa. You saw it. Yeah. I'm like, whoa. Like, what? How? There's just questions I have. Like, how does that make you feel, knowing
I
that you're
feel like
hurting people all the time? Like,
you'd have to have such little respect for yourself.
right.
And also like I would think it might even have some like sexual trauma from your earlier years to like dissociate, like the sexual act doesn't have such a weight because it was taken from you. Like that I could see that
Hmm.
as an
Wow.
influential part of it.
So there's like unresolved trauma, just
Very well could be.
creating this need
Cycle.
for, yeah, like, more trauma. Like, how traumatic
Hmm.
can we make life? But that's the
Right.
thing. It's like, you can't have a conscience, obviously. Like,
Hmm.
there's that aspect. It's like, how, like, if I was constantly hurting people around me on purpose, I would feel terrible. I don't know how you can not feel terrible about that, but I guess not having a conscience would be, or just not caring, like having
Yeah.
a I don't give a fuck attitude. Like that's a way. I definitely think. And I mean, there's just so much like behind it that just blows my mind that people are capable of doing. You know.
Yeah.
But that's like looking at like scam artists, right? Like people who scam people out of money and things like that. Like
Hmm.
obviously the thing that's motivating them is the money, right? Oh, I'm
Right.
getting rich by scamming this person and knowing that I'm scamming them. What is the motivating factor behind cheating? Like that's what I just don't understand either. Like
Probably
why
like
cheat?
always having something new, something exciting, something shiny, like shiny object
Well, then
syndrome,
be
basically.
single. It
Yeah,
just
but
drives me insane.
I
Be
mean, even
single.
like wanting to have someone to come home to, like having your cake and eating it too, right? It's like you want to constantly have
All
a new
right.
conquest, but also have someone to cuddle at night. Like I can see that makes sense
Okay,
to
so
me, but still,
filling different voids. Okay. So
yeah,
having the intimacy with somebody and the closeness, but also still craving
spontaneity
sexual.
and impulsivity,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Wow. I've never
but it
really
still doesn't
looked
make
at
it
it
right.
like that. Well, no, it's not right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. And I'm going to throw a term out there that people are going to be like, wow. But having an open relationship, right?
Mm,
Where you're not monogamous, you're
like
polyamorous or whatever,
polyamorous,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. So I just
Go on.
I didn't want to bring that up, but I just had a thought. I was
No.
like, I mean, that cures all of those issues, but
Mm-hmm.
for me personally, I'm just like there has to be rules, right? There has to be some kind of boundaries, like
Yeah.
with the way, like just. I mean, we're talking about sex here, but like if you're having sex with multiple people, I don't want to have sex with you because I'm afraid of what those people are doing. Like, like there's just
So,
that whole train of like, oh, you're having sex with this person and that person's having sex with these people and those people are having sex. It's just it
well,
grosses me out, kind of like disgusts me. And thinking about like the cheating aspect, like I'm glad that when I found out about the cheating, like I made sure that I didn't touch that person anymore because that fear alone drove me up the wall. I was like, I would never touch them ever again because of that specific
right.
reason. But anyway, sorry,
Um,
polyamorous. Yeah.
so I know someone in my life who is polyamorous. And not saying that they would want to come on the podcast, but if they did, you just come give me a message. But from my understanding from the little bit that I've spoken to this person about this topic is um they might have multiple partners, but their partners know of these other partners. It's not like a big question mark. It's like, well, I'm seeing you and this person, and like they kind of have an understanding. They're on the same page,
It's
and like
it's like
anytime
an
they're starting
agreement.
to
Yeah.
right, and anytime they're starting to talk to someone else, like they tell their partners. It's all like communication is definitely required because you have to have that strong foundation of understanding to not be jealous or to not feel like you're being deceitful. um so yeah,
Right.
I think their communication is actually
Wild.
better than most relationships.
That's incredible to think about. And I've met some people who are polyamorous and they were in open relationships, and I asked them a lot of questions just because
Hmm.
it's not something I would ever do.
Curious.
I don't think I
Yeah.
could. Yeah, but I want to know how things work. That's how my
Hmm.
brain like that's how my brain is. I'm like I'm a wild
You want to
inventor.
learn.
I look at things and I'm like, how does that work? Like how
Right.
let's figure it out. And I asked them the
Like
same
different
question, and
partners need different needs.
they honestly they told me that they met the other person. Like
Yeah.
the three of them would go to dinner. They'd ask a bunch of questions. They'd ask obviously, hey, are you clean? Like have you been
Hmm.
checked recently? Blah blah blah. Like you wear protection. Blah blah blah. I mean, and to think about it like that, I can see like it's more like a partnership. Like you're in an agreement together. Hey, like if you're sleeping with somebody else, that's a deal breaker for us. Like that kind of thing. And there's a lot of trust,
Yeah.
a lot of trust. So like having that amount of trust obviously comes with having very clear and open lines of communication.
And expectations.
It's it's incredible to me. And I have a lot of respect for people that run those kinds of relationships because you're right. They probably have deeper trust and deeper communication than most standard relationships,
Hmm.
monogamous relationships. But it's still crazy to me, though.
Yeah. But like if you want
I
to have
just,
multiple partners, then you need to be upfront about that and be like, hey, like I want to explore
right.
this. And then like let your partner have the decision of like that's not for me or I'm open to that too. But don't play like you're monogamous if you're not.
It's just, it's wild to me to think that there are probably people out there that don't talk about the other person. Like they're just out there having sex with whoever they want and still
Yeah.
coming home to their person.
Oh my
Honestly,
God, I saw this
it
TikTok.
drives me crazy.
Oh, speaking of cheating, so I saw this TikTok. You know how like sometimes they're like, if you have a husband and his name is Brian and he was on this flight going to Orlando, like and he was wearing a pink shirt, like I want you to know, whatever. So this girl was on a plane
Dude,
and this guy comes and sits down next to her with a wedding ring on. Um, and then he downloaded all of the dating apps, created a profile on the plane. And then when they landed, he called his wife on FaceTime and his kid and be like, oh, well, I'm going to check into the hotel and like all the shit. And I was like, can you imagine like this guy just like going to different cities with the intention of like hooking up for the weekend and then going
cheating.
home to his
Yeah.
wife and kids? Like, oh my God, I would feel so uncomfortable to see that like in person and be like, what the fuck? So I'm glad that people are doing that now on social media, but it's just like, it's a hobby. It's a
Dude,
fun pastime for people. I can't.
dude, I recently I had seen a girl post on my Facebook about
Hmm.
the groups that she's in on Facebook that like literally do that exact thing like, "Hey, are you
Oh my
dating this
God.
person?" And it's like their husband of 10 years and there's like
Yeah.
multiple women like, "Yeah, this person's
Double life.
constantly messaging me." And I'm like, "Dude,
Hmm.
like how do you fucking sleep at night?" Excuse my language, but how seriously, how do you sleep at night knowing
Hmm.
that and it's wild to me. Like I've never ever been that guy. I've never been the guy that's like in a bunch of girls' DMs in a relationship because I'm afraid to get caught. Like that's like the biggest thing for me. It's like the fear of
Yep.
knowing that you're gonna get caught because you will eventually. Like it's
Hmm.
gonna come out. Like you are
Catch up to
not
you.
slick enough to yeah. Like all they have to do is especially with today's day and age, like all they have to do is a search of your fucking name on Google. It's gonna pull up all your social media sites, like, and yeah, like using a fake name would probably work, but like people know me. Like unfortunately, I can't go very many places in this. Well, I mean, I moved to Pearland specifically so I don't bump into people I know, but like if I were in a relationship, my previous one, and I were to go somewhere with another girl, I would bump into like 20 people that I know and they would instantly be like, who the fuck is this? Like, and they would be in my fucking girlfriend's inbox, like, hey, by the way, we saw Barry out with this fucking chick. What's going on with that? Like, and that's what's crazy to me is that happened. Retro, right? I had multiple people in my inbox saying, hey, this person, we just saw her with this person. Like,
Hmm.
what's up? Are you guys okay? And then I had to be like, oh no, yeah, she's cheating on me.
Hmm.
So like, like it was I was like,
But you
oh
still
yeah, we're
downplayed it and
not
like, oh, I'm
but
sure that there's a reason or an excuse or whatever.
oh, they're just friends. Oh, they just work together.
Yeah.
Oh, but they were flirting at work together all the time. Oh yeah, whatever. This
Yeah.
is
The whole thing.
but anyway, yeah, so
Cycle.
it's like it's just insane to me that there are people out there that have that capability of hurting a person that they know only wants the best for them, that only cares for them and only loves them. Like it just
Blatant
like I
disregard
if
and
it's
disrespect.
yeah, and if it's over, then break up with that person. Just do it.
Yeah.
Like do it honestly, do it, you know, intentionally. Like
Hmm.
and then if there's like any doubt in your mind that that's not the right choice, then
That's it.
why pursue that other person? Like that's it,
Hmm.
and that's what drives me nuts is there was definitely a moment in time where you know the person that cheated on me told me, "Hey, I think I need to be alone." if that person had just said, instead of that, instead of saying, oh, I just need to be alone, if they had just said, oh, I have found somebody else,
Hmm.
it would have instantly turned the relationship into a breakup.
Different. Yeah.
It would have been different. The dynamic would have been entirely different because I would have known the real reason why that person didn't want to be with me, and it was because that they were interested in somebody else. Not
Hmm.
because they had doubt in our relationship, or not because they, just wanted to be alone. Like, nobody wants to be alone. I mean, I don't know.
I
I
think
kind
that's
of
one of the reasons
maybe
why people do cheat and they don't break up because they don't want to be alone because it's fucking
right.
depressing.
It is. It is depressing, but I'm starting to learn that being alone is a lot more peaceful. So
Hmm.
I kind of like stumbled on my words there when I said nobody wants to be alone, because I fucking love being alone now. It's probably the only thing that keeps me going is knowing that I don't have to deal with any more drama.
Yeah.
Yes, it gets lonely at times and it is kind of depressing, but at the same time, knowing that I'm peaceful is probably the best feeling. Knowing that I no
So
longer have to deal with that kind of thing. I don't have to lay awake at night wondering if this person's,
truthful.
yeah, being truthful with me, being honest with me, or if they spent the entire day talking to somebody else.
Yeah.
That's the biggest issue. So,
So how are you caring for
but yeah,
yourself moving through this healing, rewiring, rebuilding stage? Like what are you working to believe differently? If that makes sense.
believing differently, I would probably say my own value.
Hmm.
And Katie, I know like you and I have had a lot of conversations recently, and I've been struggling, and it's been it's been rough. It has been, and I think my biggest issue is I'm still stuck on
Why?
what if things were different, right? What if things were different? And it's tough to think about all the time because I mean you can play the what if game all the time till you're blue in your face. It's not going to change anything. It's not going to make anything better. It's not going to go back and rewrite history. And my biggest issue is thinking about that person and knowing that whatever I could have done differently probably wouldn't have changed the outcome. It still would have happened. And I guess that's kind of how I'm creating the healing process and saving that space for myself, is knowing that no matter who I was or what I did, that person still wouldn't have done me right.
Yeah.
And going forward, my problem with going forward is giving up on myself in those moments was the biggest issue that I had, because I gave up on myself. I lowered myself, esteem. I lowered my expectations of my own life. I let dreams go. I was passionate about things, and I would put those off and I would put those to the side, and I didn't care about myself enough. Because if I had cared about myself and I had valued myself in a better way, I wouldn't have let that person treat me like that. 100%.
Or at least
And that's what I'm
repeatedly.
doing now. Or yeah,
You're like, I'm
repeatedly.
done.
I wouldn't have stood for the fucking abuse.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have allowed that shit to happen. And I know that there are people listening to this that know exactly who I'm talking about, and I don't want them to think like, hey, all you're doing is complaining about that person. It's not the point. The point is that there are people out there right now, Katie, that are allowing people to abuse them and treat them terribly because they don't have enough self-value. And I
Hmm.
hate that. I hate that for them. I hate that for us. We've all kind of been through that. I'm sure a lot of people maybe haven't, because they have maintained that self worth, that self value. And that is the message. Like, I want people to know that you are worthy of love. You are worthy of a good relationship. You're worthy of somebody who is going to treat you right, who's going to treat you fairly, who isn't going to cheat on you, who isn't going to look for their next way out, who isn't going to use you to whatever gain or whatever they want to get out of you. You are worth it. So that's the message. Cheating is terrible. It is painful. I would never do it to anybody because of how much pain I've been through. And I want, like, if you're listening to this and you're a cheater, please tell us so we can bring you on the show.
We need to message that girl from TikTok. Be like, by the way, can you come and talk with us? Talk
Yeah,
about your trauma.
I. But no, I just no. If you're listening to this and you have cheated, like think about the damage that you've created in that person's heart, in that person's life, in their mind. I'm not saying I'm not trying to guilt trip anybody. Like obviously, the situation dictated whatever actions, and sometimes life gets away from you, and sometimes you make bad choices. Everybody does that. I make bad choices. Sometimes I have made choices that I wish that I could go back and change, but you can't. At the end of the day, knowing that you can never go back and change something,
Yeah.
think about what you're doing. Think about how you're treating people and think about the reactions to your actions. That's it. I think that if people understood like like ripples in a pond, like when you throw a rock in a pond, how far those ripples really go.
Hmm.
I think if people understood that, they would be less tempted to do ill by other people, especially
Yeah.
the ones they love. Like if you say that you love somebody, like those
It's
are
not like a
like
hey, how
those
are you? Like
words.
that. It's wait.
Yeah, those words have depth, like
Yeah.
serious depth. And I've never used the L word sparingly.
Hmm.
I've used it when I felt it, and when you feel like you're in love with somebody, like how can you do something that you know is going to destroy them? Like when you
Yeah.
say you love somebody. Now, I think there's a lot of people out there that use love to get what they want, and a lot of times it's not even love that they're trying to get, and it breaks my heart knowing that, because love shouldn't be this thing that we're all using to get what we want. It should be like this honest and truthful and
Lifestyle.
deep, yeah, this deep feeling. Like yeah, I'm an empath, and I love deeply, and when I care about somebody, I would give them the shirt off of my back. I would give them my last dollar. That kind of bond, that kind of like relationship
Soul
is,
tie.
yeah, it's incredible, and we shouldn't be using that lightly. And
Right.
there's so many people out there that are just all they want is sex, and like that's all that matters to them, and they're going to say and do whatever they can to get sex, and I feel bad for those people because they're going to live empty and dull lives forever. They're just going
Hmm.
to look back and think, man, I never really had any meaningful relationships with anybody.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for them. I really do. And I feel
I hope
bad
they find
for
peace.
people who cheat because eventually that shit's going to catch up to you. You're going to remember all those times that you did that shit. And you're going to think, so maybe not any day soon, but someday you're going to look back and you're going to be like, you're going to be filled with regret
Hmm.
because you lived a life that destroyed other people. And I don't understand how you can feel good about that, knowing that you're destroying other people.
And maybe
I
they
just,
don't feel good about it, but they just drink to forget.
yeah, drinking to forget, or telling lies, or spreading
Yep.
rumors, and like covering up
Drugs.
their acts and drug. Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, there are definitely other ways to cope with your own fucking problems, but
Yeah.
my thing is I cope with my own problems by being honest with myself and being
Yeah.
truthful, and remembering that I'm only human and I'm gonna make mistakes, but at the same time
You're doing
holding
work.
myself accountable. That's the difference. Holding
Hmm.
yourself accountable. Like Katie, I'm not perfect, and everybody listening, I'm not perfect. I try very hard to do right by the people in my life. And
Live a
that's,
life
I
of
think that's
integrity.
why, yeah, integrity
Hmm.
is a thing. And there have been times, and I have lied in the past. There have been times when I lied, I immediately regretted it. Like,
Hmm.
as the words left my fucking lips, Katie, I was like, man, I shouldn't have said that. I should have
Yeah.
told the truth. And in the situation specifically that I'm thinking about, it wouldn't have mattered if I told the truth anyway, because this person was trying to basically interrogate me and get the information out of me that they already knew, like,
Hmm.
and they were going to use it against me as ammo. So it's like, why would it matter? Like, at that point, I'm just saving face, which
Yeah.
fuck that anyway. But why would I need to do that?
Right. Well, I
See,
feel like
I
that's a
can I
good.
can literally think about specific points in my life when I've lied. Like, that's how bad I don't like lying. Like,
Yeah,
it
I
just
know.
it
And
doesn't
like,
make sense to me. But
and by omission too, right? Because there's been times where you're like, okay, I haven't been truthful with you. And I'm sure that that like ate at you so much too, because it's like you and I are so connected that that probably was like hard to not be upfront
so
about things.
difficult, and that's another thing too. Like, seeking retribution after lying, like saying, hey, I wasn't being honest with you in this case, and I would like
Hmm.
to make up for that. That goes so far with people
Right.
because, yeah, the action happens, but if you seek, like I said, retribution and you apologize and mean it sincerely, like, you're getting that back. You're getting that trust and that respect right back.
And then also
So
like reflect on like how you can do things differently to not feel like you needed to lie or omit the truth.
right. And that's
Hmm.
another thing too. Not telling the truth is the same thing, like withholding information
Yeah.
so you don't have to lie is the same thing as not telling the truth in my book.
It's
I think
lying.
that is
Yeah.
the same fucking thing. Like, keeping key details out of a conversation because you know that it's going to hurt the other person. Like, I mean, you might as well just lie to their fucking face. So,
Right. I hear you.
but
I
anyway,
think that's a
so I
good
think
place to
that's
wrap
good.
up.
Yeah.
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 It's a long episode, but it was a good one.
I mean, it was only an hour. So, long enough though.
Hour. Yeah.
But yeah, if you guys have anything to add, please hit us up on Instagram and
Hmm.
TikTok and on our website. We love feedback. I love hearing, that you guys
Yeah.
can relate, or you, if there's anything that you guys want us to talk about that you feel like should be addressed, please let us know. We
Hmm.
would love to talk about it, give our
Yeah.
opinions and our experiences. That's what we're here for. So,
If you're on the email list, every single week at the end of the email, it there's a little button that you can click to submit your ideas for future episodes as well. Fun fact. Not that anyone clicks it, but it's there. But yeah, like if you're going through the healing process of like rebuilding yourself after you've been cheated on or experienced any sort of infidelity, like I want to hear about like how you're managing. Like what are you trying
how
to
you're
overcome
coping.
right now? Right. Like how can you start being intentional with the things you're doing every day, right? Like this isn't really a question I need to hear about, but like just for reflections, like how can you show up differently today and be more loving towards yourself? It's not going to change the past, but also it can help build you up to have a better future. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Remember your value,
Thanks.
guys. That's it.
Yeah. You are
I
worthy.
love you.
I love you. I hope you have a great day.
You too. See ya.
Bye.